Fox News alert: allegations of child sex abuse. Penn State University now reportedly discussing an exit strategy for its legendary head coach, Joe Paterno. This just hours after the university canceled a news conference that the 84-year-old icon was set to hold. It was part of his weekly briefings on upcoming football games, but he was going to address the latest scandal here. This as the school struggles to contain a runaway scandal involving horrific allegations of abuse of little boys. Former defensive coordinator, shown right here, Jerry Sandusky, once considered an heir to Paterno's football throne, charged with sexually assaulting young boys he met through his charity, and now there are questions about what officials at this university did or did not do to put an end to this. Frank Noonan is the Pennsylvania State Police Commissioner. He is leading this investigation. Commissioner, thank you so much for being here. I know you spent 30 years with the FBI. You say you have never seen anything like the alleged sexual abuse allegations in this case, and you say you want to know why the police were not called, because there was a grad student who saw Sandusky, he says, abusing a little boy in the shower back in 2003, and he reported it to Paterno. Paterno told school administrators, but no one called the cops.
That's correct, Megan, and that no one did call the police. And what concerns me about this case, that we can show that it went on for apparently about 15 years, that there were certain points in this when it could have come to the police attention, or it did come to police attention, but nothing was able to be done. So the laws of the state of Pennsylvania, I believe, by the grad student and Joe Paterno were followed. Of course, Mr. Curley and Schultz were charged, but with not reporting it to law enforcement authorities. But this went on for a very long time, and it's very disturbing.
Well, and I want our viewers to know, so what you have is a grad student who sees the incident between Sandusky and a 10-year-old in the shower. He's so disturbed by it, he runs out, he calls his father. His father says, go tell Paterno. So he goes to Paterno's home, and he tells Paterno what he saw, he says. And then Paterno goes and speaks to his athletic director the next day at the athletic director's home. The athletic director is Tim Curley, 57. He's now under arrest. He tells Mr. Curley that the graduate assistant, this is according to the indictment, had seen Sandusky in the showers fondling or doing something of a sexual nature to a young boy. That is what the Attorney General is alleging. That's how Paterno described it to his athletic director, that this graduate student saw fondling or doing something of a sexual nature to a young boy. I ask you, Commissioner, then you have that athletic director going before the grand jury and saying, I wasn't really told by the graduate assistant that there was any sexual conduct in the showers.
Not that he recalled. Yes, that's correct. And of course, that resulted in being charged with perjury and the failure to report.
And so same deal with this other guy, Gary Schultz, who was the vice president. He claimed he didn't really know much either. But let me ask you, you got the graduate student going to Paterno at his home. He's so disturbed that he goes to the guy's house to report what he has seen. Does Paterno, I understand there's no legal obligation. The guy was retired. He was only on the campus because he was helping his charity. He's no longer the guy's boss. But in your view, does Paterno have some sort of moral obligation as a human being to do more than pass it off on his colleagues?
Well, I don't want to just criticize Joe Paterno or anybody else, but yes, I think any human being that has this type of information, that whether you have knowledge where child sexual molestation is going on, you have an obligation to call the police. Now, it's not a legal requirement, but I think any human being would agree that this is something you should do. This is why these type of activities can continue for so long. It's because people look the other way.
And this was 03. The abuse, according to the Attorney General, went on to 09. You got 6 more years of abuse ahead of you that perhaps could have been prevented if this guy had been arrested and held to account back then, if he's guilty. I want to ask whether you think why these guys didn't, because the grand jury believes this athletic director and the university vice president lied to the grand jury and that they swept this under the rug. Why, Commissioner, would they do such a thing?
Well, as to why things happen like that, why they did these things, I can't tell you, because that's whatever in their minds, I don't know. But what their actions are, I think they speak louder than words.
Well, I know that the authorities are still looking for little boys who may have been abused in this case, and they need to know that they are not to blame, that they are victims, and that that's how they will be perceived, as victims who deserve some help and who are courageous for coming forward if in fact they are involved here. And we hope that that is a very short list. Commissioner, thank you for all your good work.
Thank you very much, Megan.
All three men involved, Sandusky and the other two, maintain their innocence.